Good morning students. Today we are going to discuss about 8th standard social science history unit 2 development of industries in India. That is the heading of this lesson, development of industries in India. In that some important topics we discussed in last class. Okay, now we are going to discuss about the beginning of modern industries. The beginning of modern industries. Okay, first one, the process of industrialization started in India from the mid 19th century. That was a beginning of industrialization in India, that is mid 19th century. The beginning of modern industry is associated with the development in mainly plantation like jute, cotton and also steel. So these were the important raw materials were produced in those days. There was a limited development of mining, especially coal. The accelerated industrialization began with the development of railways and roadways. So these were the two important transport very much useful to the development of industrialization. This growth greatly influenced the economic and social life of people in the country. So that was very much play the important role play in the economic and social life of the people in the country. The two world wars gave an impetus to the development of number of industries such as chemical, iron and steel, sugar, cement, glass and other consumer goods. Most mills were set up by wealthy Indian businessmen. Initially, this development was confined to the setting up of cotton and jute textile mills. So, initially, cotton and jute textile mills were very familiar because they were very much interested to produce cotton and jute raw materials in those days. Okay, next we are going to discuss about plantation industries. Plantation industries. The plantation industries was the first to attract the Europeans. The Europeans were very much attracted by the plantation industries. The plantation industry could provide job on large scale, and in reality it could meet the increasing demands for tea, coffee and indigo by the British society. So that plantation industry that was very much attracted by the Europeans because it made lot of job opportunity and meet lot of demands of the British society. Therefore, plantation industry was started early on. The Assam Tea Company was founded in 1839. In 1839, what was established or found? The Assam Tea Company was found in 1839. Coffee plantation also started at the same time. As the tea plantation was the most important industry of East India, coffee plantation became the center of activities in South India. So tea plantation was very much important to the East India, as well as coffee plantation became the center of activities in South India. The third important plantation is which gave birth to factory was jute. That was the third important plantation work. All these industries were controlled by the many former employees of the British East India Company. So they were the controller of these industries. Okay, next machine based industries. Next machine based industries. In India, modern industrial sector in an organized form started with the establishment of cotton textile industry in Bombay in 1854. In 1854, the cotton textile industry was established in Bombay. In 1855, jute industry was started in the Hooghly Valley at Risra near Calcutta. 1855, jute industry was started near Hooghly. Next, the first paper mill was started in Bailiganj near Calcutta in 1870. The cotton mills were dominated by Indian enterprises and the jute mills were owned by British capitalists. Cotton mills were opened in Bombay and Ahmedabad and jute mills on Hooghly River banks. The woolen and leather factories became prominent in Kanpur. So, the Bombay and Ahmedabad were famous for cotton. Hooghly River bank was famous for jute, and Kanpur that was famous for leather and woolen products. Okay. Next, heavy industries. Heavy industries. The heavy industries included the iron and steel industry. Steel was first manufactured by modern methods at Kulti in 1874. In 1874, steel was first manufactured by modern methods at Kulti. Iron and steel industries began rooted in Indian soil in the beginning of 20th century. So, in the beginning of 20th century, there were a lot of iron and steel industries began rooted in India. However, the credit for the development of large-scale manufacture of steel in India goes to Jamsetji Tata. He was a very important person for the development of large-scale manufacture of steel in India. The Tata Iron and Steel Company (TISCO) was set up in 1907. In 1907, Tata Iron and Steel Company (TISCO) was established at Samsetpur. It started producing pig iron in 1911 and steel ingots in 1912. Okay, so this is the very important thing about the industries. Okay, students, now we are going to discuss about growth of modern industries. Growth of modern industries. The length of railways increased from 2,573 kilometers in 1861 to 55,773 kilometers in 1914. The length of railways was increased that much level during this period. Opening of the Suez Canal also shortened the distance between Europe and India by about 4,830 kilometers. So that was a very useful way to made the trade and commerce relationship between the Europe and India. This reduced distance facilitated further industrialization of India. So that was a extension of routes where increased the industrialization in India. As a result of Swadeshi movement, the cotton mills increased from 194 to 273 and jute mills from 36 to 64. So during the time of Swadeshi movement, we were pushed to produce our own things. So that is why the mills were extended. The British had consolidated the power in India and thereby attracted large number of foreign entrepreneurs and capitalists, particularly from England. Foreign capitalists were attracted to Indian industry as it held the prospect of high profit. Labor was extremely cheap. Raw materials were cheaply available, and India and its neighbors provided a ready market. So these were the very easy circumstances made a lot of industrialization in India. That is very cheap labor, cheaply available raw materials, and marketing places were very much available in India. So that made the industrialization in India. Next one, Confederation of Indian Industries. Confederation of Indian Industries, that is CII. The Confederation of Indian Industry is a business association in India. It is a business association in India. CII is a non-governmental organization, that is a non-governmental organization, not for profit, industry led and industry managed organization. It was founded in 1985. The Confederation of Indian Industry was established in 1985. It has over 9,000 members from the private as well as public sectors, including small and medium enterprises, SME, small and medium enterprises, and multinational corporations, MNCs. So these were the members were established the Confederation of Indian Industries. So next one is industrial growth in India. Industrial growth in India. They realize the dream of development of industries. Indian government adopted certain industrial policies and 5-year plans. The Indian government adopted some important certain industrial policies and 5-year plans that was very much useful to realize the dream of the development of industries in India. One of the most important innovations in the industrial field after independence has been the introduction of the 5-year plans and the direct participation in industry by the government as expressed in the industrial policy resolution. The intervention of the government and the 5-year plans that was very much developed the industries in India of 1948. This resolution delineated the role of the state in the industrial development both as an entrepreneur as an authority. As per the Industrial Policy Resolution 1956, industries were classified into 3 categories. On the basis of the Industrial Policy Resolution 1956, the industries were classified into 3 categories. First one, Schedule A. Only the government can handle these industries. Government can handle these industries. Some of these are atomic energy, electrical, iron and steel, and others. So these were the important industries were handled by the government. Schedule B. These comprise road and sea transportation, machine tools, aluminium, chemicals including plastics and fertilizers, ferroalloys, and certain types of mining. So these were the second category. Third one, Schedule C. Under this category, the remaining industries and the left to the private sector. So these were the important categorized by the Industrial Policy Resolution of 1956. Next, classification of industries. Classification of industries. On the basis of raw materials used, industries can be classified into agro-based and mineral-based. According to their role, it can be classified into basic and key industries. On the basis of ownership, it can be classified into public sector, private sector, joint sector, and cooperative sector. So next now we are going to discuss about phases of industrial development in India. Phases of industrial development in India. First one, Industrial development during 1950s to 1965. During the time of 1950s to 1965, the industrial development in India. During this phase, a majority of consumer goods were produced in India. So during this time, majority of consumer goods were produced in India. The industrial sector was underdeveloped with weak infrastructure. The infrastructure that was not satisfied. Technical skills were in short supply. The first 3 5-year plans were very important because their aim was to build a strong industrial base in independent India. These plans mostly focused on the development of capital goods sector. As a result, this phase witnessed a strong acceleration in the growth of production. So these first 3 5-year plans were very much important because their aim was to build a strong industrial based in independent India. So second one, industrial development during 1965 to 1980. During 1965 to 1980. As the first 3 5-year plans mostly focused on the development of capital goods sector, the consumer goods sector was neglected. That was very much focused on capital goods only. So consumer goods were very much neglected. That was rejected. The consumer goods sector is a backbone of rural economy. That is very important to the rural economy. That is consumer goods sector. As a result, there was a fall in the growth rate of industrial production. So this period is marked as the period of structural retrogression. So this period is marked as the period of structural retrogression. Next, the industrial development during 1980s till 1991. The period of the 1980s can be classified as the period of the industrial recovery. That is a period of industrial recovery because this period witnessed quite a healthy industrial growth. During the time of 1965 to 1980, the industrial field was fall in growth. After that, in 1980s to 1991, the period witnessed quite a healthy industrial growth. Okay. Next, industrial development post 1991 reforms. Industrial development post 1991 reforms. The year 1991 ushered a new era of the economic liberalization. India took major decisions to improve the performance of the industrial sector. The 10th and 11th 5-year plans witnessed a high growth rate of industrial production. First 3 5-year plans also very much helped the industrial field, as well as the 10th and 11th 5-year plans also witnessed a high growth rate of industrial production. The abolition of industrial licensing, dismantling of price control, dilution of reservation of small scale industries, and virtual abolition of monopoly law enabled Indian industry to flourish. The new policy welcomes foreign investment. So some of the restrictions were posted in the industrial field. So that is why the new economic policies welcomes the foreign investment in India. Okay. Next students, modernization. India has now a large variety of industries producing goods of varied nature, which shows a high degree of modernization. That modernization shows the variety of Indian goods produced in India. So next, some modern industries have really grown and they are competing effectively with the outside world. Our Indian products very much competing with the foreign products. That much level our production was very high through the modernization. This has reduced our dependence greatly on foreign experts and technologists. On the contrary, India is exporting trained personnel to relatively less developed countries. That means the dependence during this time, during the modernization time, the reduce of dependence with the foreign countries, that was very much high, and India exporting trained personnel to relatively less developed countries. We want to help to others, that means the less developed countries. The term information technology includes computer and communication technology along with software. Along with three sector model of primary, secondary and tertiary industries, a fourth sector information and related industries, so that is a fourth pillar, has emerged. The knowledge economy depicts the automation of labor incentive manufacturing and service activities as well as growth in the new service industries such as healthy care, distance education, software production and multimedia entertainments. So these were also included in the information technology. Next, self-reliance. Self-reliance. We depend on ourselves. Another positive aspect of industrial growth, it is a attainment of goal of self-reliance. That is a very much attainment of Indian people or India. We have achieved self-reliance in machinery, plant and other equipment. Today, the bulk of the equipment required for industrial and infrastructural development is produced within the country. We are very developed during the modernization period because we produced lots and lots of infrastructural development goods. Next, the Indian road network has become one of the largest in the world. It is the largest transportation route, that is Indian roadways. Government efforts led to the expansion of the network of national highways, state highways and major district roads, which in turn has directly contributed to the industrial growth. That Indian roads network, that is directly contact with the development of the industrial growth. As India needs power to drive its growth engine, it has triggered a noteworthy improvement of availability of energy. India, it has lot of energy to improve the status among the world countries. After almost 7 decades means 70 years of independence, India has emerged as the third largest producer of the electricity in India. So after the modernization, India very well developed in the field of production of electricity. Now that is it has third place largest producer of electricity in Asia level. Okay, so that loss is conclusion. Industrialization is an important component of economic growth. Industrialization is the very important thing to the development of each and every country's economy. Next, India's industrial expansion over the plan period present a mixed picture. Compared to the pre-independent level, industrial growth during the 5-year plan period is phenomenal. So compared with the pre-independent, we are very well developed because of the 5-year plans planned by the government to develop our country. Okay, thank you students. So the second lesson is over in history. Remaining lesson we will discuss in the next class. Okay, thank you.